I'm getting a lot of questions about the CLB requirement and its equivalency to the PTE Core exam. So we'll look at that here. We'll also talk about coaching, resources for this exam, and how to prepare with HZad Education. And we'll be uploading lots of videos on PTE Core, so please subscribe. Now, when we talk about the CLB levels, it's right here on your screen on the left. Most of you need a CLB 9. That's the problem. PTE Core is marked between 10 to 90 points. 90 is the top score. So if you need a CLB 9, you're looking at 82 to 88 points in listening, which is very close to 90. In reading, it's a little bit easier, 78 to 87, but we'll discuss that later. That's because reading is a very hard module in PTE Core. PTE Core Speaking is 84 to 88, which again means it's near perfection, and the speaking requirements are pretty demanding. We'll look at that in a sec as well. And the writing is the worst, 88 to 89 out of 90. It's an extremely high requirement, and you are marked very strictly by the AI who's going to be marking you. You are marked on task response, so how you answer the question, if it is relevant to what is being asked. So even if it's an AI marking, you are being marked on that. So it is almost perfection if you're looking at CLB 9 scores. So that is first of all what you need to understand. The other thing is, again, this exam is now open from the 2nd to 3rd weeks of February. Depending on your location, you can check out the available dates. And once we start uploading more videos here, we're going to upload a lot of tests, reading, listening, writing, speaking. So please subscribe to view them. We also are offering PTE Core coaching with our best teachers who have studied this course, who have done great things in making materials, and I can't wait to upload them soon with you guys. And we are offering classes at a very good price right now. So if you're interested, the email is in the description. Check it out. Email us. We'll tell you about our coaching packages and prepare you for your next exam. Now, a few things you want to look at, and again, we'll make a detailed video about each module and every aspect you need to understand. But a few quick things. Number one is there's no spell check in listening or writing. Now, in listening, there are components where you have to write as well. So in listening parts, you're also marked on spell check, grammar. Okay, so it's a combination of listening and writing. It's not just listening, it's mainly listening, but you have to write a lot of things as well, including long paragraphs as well as short sentences and answers. So we'll check that out in a bit, but especially in writing, remember, there is no spell check. It is an online test, so you will be doing it on a computer, but no spell check. So if your spellings are weak, be careful. Now, this is what I was saying. Listening questions are present when you are listening. Now that in CELPIP, for example, you have the audio playing and the questions appear later. In IELTS, it's different. You're listening and the questions are in front of you. Well, this is similar to IELTS listening. You will be listening and you will also listen to a video. So there's also a little bit of watching the video and listening. So there's that component as well. And then, of course, the audio as well. So while you're going to be listening, the questions will be in front of you, which means you don't have to take notes. You can just answer the questions while you listen. Another thing in speaking is that there is a huge, and I mean a gigantic emphasis on tone and fluency. So it is constantly, the marking scheme constantly tells us that you have to sound like a native speaker, have that tone, have that emphasis. That does not mean you need a native speaker accent. You're not being marked on accent in the PTE Core exam. You are going to be marked on the emphasis, the volume fluctuations, how fluent you are. That also means you should pause where you need to, but also you're not stopping or stuttering or saying or like or using filler words. And there's the emphasis on tone is something where, for example, I would say that I can't wait for the weekend. I have to go to this concert. Now that's a very monotone sentence. You should speak in a native speaker tone with emphasis, saying that I cannot wait for this weekend. I have this amazing concert to attend. You're going to be marked on this. And there's a huge emphasis in the entire marking scheme on this type of speaking. So make sure you are fluent, you have the tone, and you're not monotone. If you are robotic, this exam is not for you. Next thing is there are 0 marks in some cases. So you know how if you do a writing task, you have some mistakes and you have some good points, you're obviously given marks on the good points. However, in the PTE Core exam, you are going to get 0 marks if you don't fulfill 2 criteria. One is the content and the other is the form. Now this applies to some question types, not all. For example, in the writing email task, the content and form are going to be marked out of 5 points. That means if your content is not relevant to the question was asking something, and you have answered something completely different, you're going to be marked 0. If your form, which is the number of words you have done, is 2 less than the actual words required, you'll be marked 0, and then you will not be marked on other things. And other things include salutations, grammar, vocabulary, etc. So that wouldn't even be considered if your content is not correct, your task response, and your words are less than what are needed. So if you fail them, you just get 0 directly. You don't even go down for further marking. So that's a little strict. And when we talk about reading, there is a variety of reading questions, I would say. There are multiple choice questions, fill in the gap questions, and reordering paragraphs, which is new for people who have done IELTS. In IELTS, you're familiar with multiple choice and fill in the gaps, but reordering a paragraph is where you will get multiple sentences from one paragraph, and they're going to be scattered. The prompt is going to be put these sentences in the right places. So you would have to read all of them, see the sequence, see the flow, and put them in the appropriate place from start to finish, how one would start that paragraph and how they would do the middle part and the conclusion. You have to be the one to figure that out. So it's different types of questions that you have not seen before in IELTS. Listening plus writing, this is what I mentioned already. It's not just the listening exam. You have to not only write the answers, which are usually 1 word or 2 words, right? Here you are expected to write entire paragraphs, entire sentences. So this has a writing component, and you're even marked on grammar and spelling there. So it's not just listening. Once you're done with the writing section, you still have to deal with writing again in the listening part. This one is probably the better thing among all the list, because the list is scary what I have compiled here. But the changes compared to IELTS or CELPIP in this case are that the test duration is only 2 hours. So it's a pretty quick test. You'll be done fairly quickly. It's not going to be 3 hours or more. Now you do need advanced vocabulary and structures. This is very important. In the entire marking scheme, you can see the examiners constantly telling you, you cannot use basic words, you cannot use simple sentences, common expressions, no. You have to use advanced vocabulary, range of phrases, range of vocabulary, and also complex sentences, which means long sentences. But remember to do a mixture of complex and simple sentences, and this is mainly for your writing and speaking. But also remember, vocabulary and your skills in vocabulary will be tested in reading and listening as well, because they're going to throw in complex advanced vocab to you, so you want to make sure you practice lots on that. In our new PTE Core course, we're going to include PTE Core specific word lists, and I'm going to be uploading that here on YouTube, as well as the paid version very soon. So please subscribe for more updates to the PTE Core course and preparation. And if you're interested in the PTE Core classes, please email us. Link is in the description.